Hello, my name is Joseph Zaragoza. Today we'll be going over The Body Ritual and the Nazi Rama by Horace Minor. My initial reaction to the piece immediately is that it's a very strange way of life, you know, from an outsider's perspective at least. Um, some of their rituals and their customs that they do are very out there. Some of their beliefs, you know, they immediately talk about their belief that they're all inherently ugly despite the fact that appearance and health is quite a big deal to them in their society. So they have these outlandish beliefs about doctors and medicines, potions, and then doctors being magic men and, dentists being holy mouth men. But, after reading it the second time and getting the information that, well, Nasi Rama is just supposed to be a depiction of, American culture, and the word itself, Nasi Rama, America spelled backwards. Reading it with that perspective, you start to realize a lot more. I want to say in the first two or three paragraphs, they mention a free market economy, which a free market economy is essentially just capitalism. A free market economy is supply and demand with no government interference, between corporation and government. The only difference between a completely free market and capitalism is that with capitalism, there is just a little bit of interference from the government when need be. But with capitalism in mind, something that's widely discussed about is how there's a top and a bottom, and there kind of will always be one um, in this kind of society. And I think in societies, capitalist societies like ours, or free market economies like the Nasi Rama, um, you see a lot of imitation, between lower class people or lower status people versus high status or high ranking people in the society. And in America we see this a lot with lower income families or people who imitate richer or more wealthier high status people, with purchase of material possessions and things of that nature. And inside of the writing, they mention that these shrines that they have, these shrines that are sacred to them, wealthier people often have multiples in their home, and the lower class, poor members of society often have imitations or fake ones they made their own. And I think we see a lot of this in America, where people trying to keep up with one another, buying the next best thing. Like an example I would use would be like a vehicle. Uh, you know, I think majority of people, just based off of what society tells us, would like you'd pick like a luxury car over a Toyota, but doesn't necessarily mean. I mean, they're both vehicles, right? But like the status around a Mercedes versus a Toyota is just completely different. And so, even though it's not the exact same thing, I believe it's still kind of in the same realm of imitation of the wealthy. So, transitioning from that part, that's something that I found. I mean, I mentioned a lot about all the things I found strange about the Nazi Rama people, and it makes you wonder what other cultures find strange about the American people. And one of the things that I wanted to mention was that how social media has become such a mainstream. I mean, it became a mainstream media outlet essentially. A place where you have free speech of speak whatever you want and say what you want, and this will reach whoever sees it. Um, we saw it a lot in some of the most recent presidential campaigns, how social media was utilized during their campaign. Um, you know, presidents being on Twitter and the ability that we have to subtweet or respond to a president is kind of wild. I feel like in a country like South Korea, responding to, I'm sorry, North Korea, and responding to a public figure And some of the ways that people do in America on social media would immediately be like a big no-no. Um, Back in the past 10, 20 years, social media was less prevalent. But, I would say in like the past 5 to 10 years, it's become a lot more prevalent. And so I think one of the ways it has advanced so much in America compared to other countries is just the free speech part. Um, in America, we've always been fortunate enough to have the freedom of speech in the first place. So when you're given a platform as large as Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and then paired with a network as large as the internet, it really has all the opportunity for growth. With that being said, I think that it's kind of been a detriment to society as we kind of lost touch with older values, mostly privacy, right? We see a lot of like exposures of companies tracking and following everything you do and target based ads. We've lost a lot of that privacy I feel previous generations used to have, especially in America. Another thing, I mentioned politicians and campaigns being used, um, you know, not being used, but social media being used for politicians and campaigns. And I think a lot of issues we face today with social media in America is misinformation. It's really easy to just say whatever you want because of the freedom of speech we have in America. And so I feel like, in a way, while we have all this information in front of us that is easily consumable, discerning what is real and what is not is often hard. I mean, not hard if you know what you're looking for, but I feel like in general population, the majority of people are misinformed on quite a bit of things. Just because they don't know 100% what they're looking on, and like the public view or the public influence. Whatever's popular right now is what I believe in. There's not a lot of just not a lot of solid foundations to a lot of people's beliefs. A lot of people are just repeating what they're seeing online or what they see, you know, on these social media platforms. But yeah, that's just something that I think is, I mean, social media isn't all around bad, but in those ways, at least, it has been a detriment to American culture.